Far out in the endless dark of space, where stars burn like small cold fires, a vast alien fleet moved with silent power, their ships sharp and cruel like blades of steel floating through the void. They were many in number, more than 100 strong, each one carrying weapons built to burn cities from orbit and crush planets beneath fire. The commanders of this fleet were proud and arrogant. They had fought many wars across the galaxy, and in every war they had always won, and now their eyes were fixed on humanity. They saw humans as weak creatures from a small blue world, a people who never should have reached the stars, and yet dared to challenge them. The alien leader stood tall in his command chamber, his dark armor glowing under red lights, his eyes sharp and cruel as he stared at the screen. The sensors had caught something small ahead, drifting slow and steady. It was one human ship alone in the void. The alien crew laughed at the sight. What was one human ship against their mighty fleet, so fragile, so small, like a drop of water lost in the sea? Yet the vessel did not run, it did not hide, it held its place in the dark, as if waiting for them to strike. The commander raised his hand, and the fleet slowed, their weapons charging power, surging like storms ready to crush the ship. With one command, he thought the humans were arrogant to stand before him with only one vessel. It would be a lesson burned into the stars, a message of human weakness. Officers sneered at the ship, some begged to fire at once to end the insult, another said, "It must be a stray scout lost, and cut off, destroy it, and move on." One officer, however, frowned for the ship, did not act as a scout, it did not retreat, it did not send signals, it did not raise shields, it simply floated with quiet defiance, and that silence was strange. The commander dismissed the warning. He called humans clever, but never strong. He gave the order, and the fleet prepared the first volley. Inside the lone human vessel, lights, flickered shadows, stretched. The crew sat calm, their faces steady. Though they knew a storm was coming, they understood the aliens believed them weak, small, alone. But the humans did not shake, they did not flee. They waited with patience, their captain watching the enemy, with eyes sharp as steel. One officer asked softly, "Are they ready out there?" And the captain nodded, his voice steady, saying, "They think we're one, they think we're nothing. Let them believe until they learn the truth." The crew said no more, their hands steady over controls, their hearts firm. The silence inside was heavy, broken only by the hum of engines. Then the alien commander gave the word, and fire streaked through the dark blasts of energy, ripping toward the human ship. The alien crews shouted in victory, already sure of triumph. But when the fire cleared, the vessel still stood, its hull scarred, its lights steady, its shape strong like a hunter waiting in shadows. The alien commander sneered, demanding another volley, still blind to the truth, as the void around them stirred like wolves waiting for prey, and the lone human ship remained a beacon, daring the galaxy, to strike, daring the enemy, to believe the lie. One ship against many, one soul against an army, and the trap was nearly ready to close. The alien fleet pressed forward, their ships roaring with energy, weapons glowing red streaks of burning light, tearing through the void, aimed straight at the human vessel, still unmoving, still waiting. Their commanders shouted in triumph, their laughter sharp and cruel, for they believed the second strike would end at once, and for all the alien crews cheered victory, before it was won, already dreaming of glory. But when the fire cleared, the human ship still stood, its hull scarred, glowing with heat, yet unbroken, its silence louder than thunder in the empty sea of stars. Whispers spread through the fleet. Some called it trickery, some called it strange human design, others said humans were simply too stubborn to die, but all agreed it was wrong. No ship should endure such power, no vessel should face a fleet alone and survive. The commander snarled in fury, brushing away doubt. He called for the third strike, his voice a blade cold as ice. Yet in that moment, the human vessel moved for the first time. Engines roared bright, cutting the dark like a blade, and instead of retreating, it turned straight toward the alien fleet. The commander rose in shock, his voice booming across the chamber, shouting, "The humans, charge! They dare come at us alone, destroy them now." But the lone ship was faster than their eyes could follow, its weapons lit like suns, each blast sharp and merciless, striking weak points. As if it had studied the fleet for years, one alien cruiser broke apart under fire, sparks and flame, tearing it open. Another reeled, wounded, its armor shattered. The alien laughter died, replaced by silence, and fear their prey had turned into predator. Weapons fired wildly chasing the human vessel, but it slipped between blasts with sharp movements, almost like a dancer weaving through death. The alien crews grew desperate, their shots missing again and again. The commander raged, "This cannot be. One ship cannot defeat us. One ship cannot break a fleet." But even as he shouted, the truth before him cracked, and fear bled into his heart. The human vessel pressed forward, engines, blazing lights, shining like a predator's gaze in the night, each strike carving deeper, each movement precise, and merciless alien ships fell one by one, flames spilling into the void, their screams echoing through broken calms. The commander clenched his fist, trying to hold control, ordering the fleet to regroup, to crush the enemy before fear swallowed them. But the fear was already there. It lived in their voices, in their trembling hands, and their pale eyes. The lone vessel moved closer, straight toward the flagship, its path unbroken, its will sharp as steel, and still the aliens tried to stop it. Still they tried to block its way, yet every defense failed. Walls of fire torn apart, ships shattered in its wake. And the alien crews began to understand the cruel truth. The ship was not weak, it was not prey, it was the hunter, and they were the ones bleeding in its jaws. The command chamber fell silent. No one laughed, no one sneered. They all felt it pressing down on them like a weight. The ship was not ordinary, it was not alone in spirit, even if it looked alone in the dark. And as the vessel came closer, its guns waiting, its lights burning, the alien crews realized the nightmare before them. One human ship was never just one. The alien commander leaned forward, his share, his armor glowing in the dim red light, his eyes locked on the human vessel that refused to fall. The silence in the command hall was heavy. The voices of his crew hushed. No one dared laugh now, for fear had already taken root. He growled in anger, demanding all ships focus their fire, demanding the vessel be crushed under sheer power. Yet even as he spoke, something strange stirred in the void around them. The human ship moved again, engines flaring bright. Like a star born from nothing, it drifted sideways, then forward, then sideways again, almost like a dancer in a war of fire. Each move calculated, each turn deliberate. But there was more, a whisper across sensors, a flicker of light, not far away, something hidden in the dark. The alien officers leaned closer, eyes wide. One shouted in alarm, "There are shadows," and the void signals faint. But rising, another voice trembled, "Commander, we are not alone. There is something out there." The alien commander slammed his fist against the chair, refusing the fear, declaring it was lies, tricks, illusions. The humans always hide behind deception. But even as he shouted his words, the shadows grew clearer. From the emptiness around the fleet, lights began to flicker one by one like stars waking in the night, and shapes emerged, long and sharp, and vast hulks of metal that caught the dim starlight. The aliens froze, staring into the black, as dozens of ships appeared from nothing, then hundreds all around them. The humans had been waiting all along. The lone vessel had been a lure, nothing more than bait hung before a hungry predator, and now the predator found itself inside a cage. The alien commander staggered back, disbelief painted across his face, his mouth open. Yet no words came. His crew gasped, voices breaking into panic, some shouting to turn away, some begging for retreat, but retreat was already gone. The human fleet had them surrounded, every path sealed by steel and fire, each ship glowing with power, weapons armed, and ready, their formation perfect, their silence heavier than thunder. The lone vessel at the center lit its engines again, as if proud, as if leading the charge, and for the first time the alien fleet realized they had walked into a trap of masterful design. The alien commander screamed orders for the fleet to regroup, to break through the ring, but the humans had prepared for this moment. Every line covered, every escape cut with precision. Alien ships surged forward, desperate to flee, their weapons burning bright, but human cruisers met them head-on, unleashing fire that ripped through armor and hull, the dark filled with explosions, the cries of alien voices spilling into the void. Fear spread like fire across the alien fleet, the belief that humans were weak shattering like glass under stone, the myth of their fragility torn apart before their eyes. The human fleet pressed tighter, moving as one, their weapons sharp, their maneuvers flawless. There was no shouting, no chaos. They moved with deadly calm, each strike, aimed each shot exact. The alien commander gripped the arm of his chair, shaking with rage, yet his voice trembled when he roared for his crew to fight, to resist, to stand. Yet deep in his heart, he knew the truth. They were not fighting prey. They were caught in the jaws of a predator more cunning than they had imagined. The lone human vessel at the center unleashed another volley fire, tearing through the nearest alien ship, sending it into flames that lit the dark, and in the glow the human fleet loomed, larger, their numbers, endless their presence, crushing the will of those trapped inside the ring. Alien officers begged for orders, some pleaded to retreat, others whispered of surrender. The commander shouted them down, swearing he would never bow to humans, never bend before a species he had once mocked as small. But his words felt hollow even to himself, for each second more ships fell, each second more voices cried out across broken calms. The humans gave no speeches, no threats. They let their fire speak for them, their silence, more terrible than 1,000 words, their weapons cutting paths through alien pride, until only fear and despair remained. The alien commander finally turned his gaze to the screen, the lone vessel, still burning bright at the center, its lights steady, its guns glowing, and he understood the cruel truth. The humans had shown them only what they wanted them to see. They had dangled weakness like bait, and he had taken it without hesitation. Now his fleet paid the price, trapped, surrounded, crushed by an enemy he had underestimated from the very beginning. The crew stared at him, their faces pale, their voices broken. One officer whispered, "Commander, we cannot win." Another said, "We cannot escape." A third whispered the word none dared speak: surrender. The commander trembled, his pride battling his fear, his fury burning, yet powerless against the storm that had closed in around him. The trap was complete, the jaws had shut. Outside, the human fleet moved with cold grace, their ships tightening the noose, their weapons ready to finish what had begun, and the lone vessel that had started it all drifted forward, its guns lowering, its message clear without words. One human ship had never been just one. The void was alive with fire, the alien fleet broken into chaos, their ships colliding, their voices screaming across broken comms, while the human fleet moved with calm silence, each vessel sliding into place like a piece of a great machine. The lone human ship that had lured them here surged forward, its guns bright with power, its engines burning strong as it cut into the enemy line like a spear leading the strike. Every shot clean, every movement sharp. The crew aboard calmed their faces, set their eyes steady, for they knew the trap had worked, and now it was time to finish what had begun. Alien warships fired wildly, their beams tearing through the black sky, yet every shot missed or was blocked. Human cruisers raised shields and shifted into formation, their lines unbroken, their defense like a wall of steel and fire that would not bend. The aliens were many, yet their numbers meant nothing now, for their pride had blinded them, and the humans had cut their strength apart. One alien commander shouted across the fleet, ordering them to regroup, but his words fell into madness. No order could be heard over the rising tide of fear. Their voices trembled, their hands shook, their minds crushed by the sight of human ships moving like shadows around them. The human fleet pressed closer, their weapons striking with precision, the soundless thunder of their guns tearing open alien hulls, spilling fire and broken bodies into the endless dark. And with each strike the message grew louder, though no words were spoken. You thought us weak, you thought us alone, you thought us easy prey. The alien flagship shuddered as a blast slammed into its shield, sparks flooding across its decks, officers thrown to the floor, voices raised in terror. One shouted, "They're everywhere." Another cried, "We cannot hold." A third whispered the truth with shaking lips, saying the humans planned this from the start. The alien commander stood tall in rage, his fists trembling, his voice breaking as he shouted that they must fight on, that they must not fall. Yet even he could feel the weight pressing against him, the truth too heavy to deny. This was not a battle. This was an execution carried out with calm human hands. The lone ship fired again, its guns striking a cruiser at close range, the alien vessel exploding into shards of light, the flames scattering like stars born from death. The human ship moved past, without pause, leading its fleet deeper into the enemy lines, cutting them apart piece by piece. Alien crews begged for help, their voices crying into the void, but no one answered their signals, blocked their calls, silenced by human systems that cut communication like a blade. Some tried to run, engines burning as they sought escape, but hidden human destroyers rose before them, their weapons glowing ready to strike, blocking every path, every corridor of flight. The aliens were trapped in a cage of steel and fire, and the cage was closing tighter with every moment. On board the human flagship, the captain stood firm, his crew silent around him, their faces calm, not a sound wasted, every move exact. He spoke at last, his words soft, yet heavy. Let them see what they feared, let them see the strength they mocked. And his crew nodded their hands, steadied their voices, quiet, for they knew this was no victory of chance, this was a lesson written in fire. Alien ships fell one after another, some torn open by heavy fire, some crippled and left, drifting engines, broken shields shattered the void, filled with debris, glowing like dying stars, the smell of fear almost alive in the darkness. The alien commander clung to his pride, his voice rising in fury. He swore he would never surrender, that he would burn before bending. Yet, even as he spoke, he saw his ships falling, his fleet broken, his empire crumbling in the silence of space. The humans pressed closer, their fleet, now a circle tightening around the survivors, their ships unshaken, their guns ready, their silence unbroken. The alien crews stared in horror, for they had never seen war fought like this, not with chaos, not with madness, but with cold patience and quiet strength. One alien officer whispered to another, "Are they even human? Are they even mortal? Or are they something more, something that waits in the dark and strikes only when the prey is blind?" The whisper spread like fire across the fleet, and the fear deepened until even the proudest could not deny the truth. The human response was not rage, it was not chaos, it was precision, it was control, it was the quiet certainty of hunters who had watched and waited until the prey was trapped. The lone human ship moved again, drifting forward, guns lowered now, its presence a symbol brighter than 1,000 flames. The crew aboard calm, as ever, their faces steady, their eyes sharp. They had done what they set out to do, and their silence spoke louder than any words could ever speak. The alien commander looked upon it and felt his pride turn to ash, his arrogance melt into dread, for the humans had shown him his weakness, had carved it into his bones, had broken his certainty with nothing more than patience and cunning. And as the fleet around him burned, as ships shattered and crews cried out into the void, he understood that the humans were never weak. They only hid their strength until the time was right. And when that time came, they struck with power beyond anything the galaxy had ever known. The human fleet circled the survivors, their weapons glowing ready, their silence heavy. And the lone ship remained at the center, its lights steady, its voice unspoken, yet clear. One human ship was never just one, it was the shadow of many, and the shadow of many was now here to end them. The alien flagship trembled under the weight of fire, its shields flickering, its crew rushing between stations, their voices sharp with fear. Some shouted for power, some begged for repairs, but their words were drowned beneath the roar of alarms and the heavy silence that pressed upon their hearts. The human fleet moved with deadly calm, circling the aliens tighter, their ships sliding into place, their weapons bright with power, every motion exact, every strike designed to cut deeper into enemy pride. The void burned with explosions, and yet the humans did not cheer, did not shout. They fought like shadows, patient and cold. Fear spread through the alien fleet like poison whispers racing from ship to ship, voices trembling in the dark. Some said the humans were not mortal, some said they were machines built only for war. Others said they were demons wrapped in steel, come to take revenge for every insult, every wound ever given to their kind. And the whispers grew until they filled every mind. One alien officer stared at the human ships, his hands shaking over the controls, his voice a whisper as he said, "They knew we would come, they planned this all along." And the crew around him fell silent, for deep inside they knew his words were true. The trap had been waiting, the bait had been laid, and they had flown straight into its jaws. The alien commander tried to crush the fear. His voice thundered across the command chamber, calling his fleet to fight harder, to burn the humans with everything they had left. Yet, even as he roared, his words felt hollow, his power slipping, his officers no longer meeting his eyes. Another human volley struck a destroyer, tearing its hull wide, flames spilling into space bodies drifting free. The sight broadcast across the alien network, their own people watching their defeat live, and the cries of terror grew louder, fear turning into despair. The humans jammed their comm signals, cut broken transmissions, filling the void. Some alien crews screamed for help, others cursed their fate, some whispered prayers to silent gods, but none were answered. The humans allowed no voice to carry except the sound of their guns. The lone human ship pressed forward again, its engines burning bright, its weapons cutting clean lines through the dark. It was not just a ship anymore to the aliens. It had become a symbol, a phantom of dread that haunted their every thought, and each time it struck another vessel, fell another flame, rose another heart broke. One alien captain ordered retreat, engines flaring as he turned his cruiser to flee, but before it could move far, 3 human ships appeared from the shadows, blocking the path, their weapons glowing their silence. Suffocating, the alien vessel froze, trapped with nowhere to run. Then a single shot shattered it in a fire. The message, clear to all who saw, there was no escape. Fear spread faster, now no longer whispers, but shouts across the fleet, officers begging to withdraw, crews sobbing in panic, commanders torn between pride and terror. The discipline that once made them strong shattered into chaos, while the humans grew only sharper, their movements never faltering, their lines never breaking. On one alien frigate, the crew muttered among themselves, their captain silent. At the front, one whispered, "We cannot fight them." Another whispered, "We cannot flee." A third whispered, "Then we are already dead." And the silence that followed was heavier than any scream. The human fleet pressed closer, their formation unbroken, their guns glowing like stars born from fire. Their silence, heavier than words for the aliens, saw the truth carved into every strike. Humanity had been watching, waiting, hiding strength until the time came to unleash it, and now that strength consumed them like fire across dry wood. The alien commander clutched the arms of his chair, his claws digging into steel, his breath heavy, his pride screaming within him. Yet even he could not hide from the fear in his eyes. He saw the faces of his crew pale and shaking, their courage gone, their spirits crushed, and he knew the truth was slipping through his fingers. He tried once more to rally them, shouting, "We are warriors, we do not fear." But his words cracked against the silence of his crew. None answered, none obeyed. The fear too deep, the despair too strong. The humans unleashed another wave, their fire precise, their aim merciless. Alien ships tore apart, drifting in ruin, their flames spreading across the void, painting the darkness with death, and the alien crews, watching, felt their hope die with every burst of light. Some began to lower weapons, hands trembling as they spoke of surrender. Others shouted them down, calling it shame, calling it weakness. Yet even those voices cracked for what was left of honor. When death circled them, what was left of pride when defeat was certain? The lone human ship drifted forward, its guns still hot, its presence filling every eye, every mind, and the alien commander stared at it with shaking rage, his voice broken, as he whispered, "How could this be? How could humans be this strong?" And no one answered, for the truth was clear. Humanity had been underestimated too many times, and now the galaxy would pay for that mistake. Fear spread like a tide, unstoppable. It filled every ship, every hull, every mind, until even the bravest felt the weight of doom pressing down, and the silence of the human fleet only deepened it, for silence was worse than rage. Silence meant control, silence meant certainty, and the aliens realized they were not facing chance, they were facing destiny. And in that moment, the galaxy itself seemed to whisper, "Never again. Underestimate the humans, for their strength is never what you see, their power is never what they show, and when they strike, it is already too late." The alien fleet drifted in chaos, ships torn and burning, fear heavy across the void, their commanders shouting orders that no longer held power, their crews staring at screens with wide eyes, hands trembling, voices shaking, none able to find courage. The humans pressed closer, their formation tight, their weapons bright, the silence of their fleet heavier than thunder. Every alien knew the silence carried more weight than words, for it meant confidence, it meant control, it meant the humans were not desperate, not cornered, not weak. They were hunting. One alien cruiser tried to fight back, launching a spread of missiles, engines, burning hot. The weapons streaked toward the humans, but halfway through the void they vanished, cut down by invisible defenses, beams flashing with perfect aim. The alien crew gasped in horror, their last chance gone, as human cannons replied, turning their vessel into light. More whispers filled the alien comms, voices trembling, saying it is hopeless, saying they are everywhere, saying we should run, but run where none could answer. On the alien flagship, the commander sat stiff, his eyes locked on the lone human ship, still leading the hunt, its hull scarred but unbroken, its fire constant, each strike carving another wound into alien pride. He clenched his claws against the chair, his pride screaming, his fear burning. He could not accept surrender, yet he felt it closing in around him like cold iron. The humans released drones, small shapes spilling into the void, their wings flashing with faint light. They swarmed around alien ships like shadows, each one fast, each one deadly. The aliens fired desperately, trying to hit them, but their shots missed, their weapons too slow, and one by one their ships fell under the swarm, the void burning brighter with every loss. In the heart of the alien fleet, one young officer whispered, humanity is not fighting for survival, humanity is fighting for victory. And the words spread across his crew like ice, because deep inside they knew it was true. This was not a desperate defense, this was a planned strike. The alien fleets had believed humanity weak, scattered, easy to crush. But now they saw the truth. Humanity had been patient, humanity had been waiting, humanity had set the trap, and every alien caught inside it felt the weight of that mistake pressing like chains. The human fleet moved closer, the circle tightening, the trap near complete, alien ships colliding as they tried to escape, commanders shouting contradictory orders, the void filled with static panic, spreading faster than flame. One alien destroyer broke formation, engines burning as it tried to flee, but did not get far. Three human ships emerged from shadows ahead, their weapons already charged. The alien vessel froze, its crew silent. Then one blast shattered its hull, the message clear: no escape, no mercy. The alien commander roared across the comms, calling for unity, calling for courage, but his voice cracked, his fleet too broken to answer the silence that followed his words, heavier than his roar. He knew in that moment the war was shifting, not only this battle, but the whole tide of power across the stars. Human ships advanced with purpose, their lines cutting through enemy ranks, their drones striking with precision, their every move echoing one truth. They had studied every alien weakness, and now they were striking at each one with surgical aim. The aliens were not only fighting guns, they were fighting knowledge. On one alien frigate, the crew broke into argument. Some demanded surrender, some demanded last stand, their captain silent, his hands shaking. Finally, he whispered, do what you must. His eyes empty, his spirit gone, and the crew fell apart, their courage scattered like ash. The lone human ship pressed forward again, its shadow vast across the alien screens, its weapons sparking with controlled rage. To the aliens, it no longer looked like metal. It looked like a beast wrapped in fire, a hunter without fear, and the fear in their hearts grew until it filled every corner of their souls. The alien commander saw his officers faltering, their eyes full of dread, their hands slow to obey. His pride begged him to keep fighting, but deep inside he knew the truth. He had lost not only the battle, but the faith of his fleet, and once faith was gone, no command could hold them. A new order spread among the human silence, still heavy, but actions clear. Ships shifting into final positions, weapons primed. The moment had come to close the trap, to deliver the blow that would decide everything. The aliens felt it too, their hearts racing, their breath shallow. They saw the humans forming the circle, saw the weapons aligning, and they knew the end was near. One whispered, we are already ghosts. Another whispered, they never showed their true power. Another whispered, this is the turning point, and all fell silent as the words sank deep. The human fleet lit the void with a single wave of fire beams, tearing through shields, torpedoes, ripping through hulls, explosions, spreading like storms. One after another, alien ships broke apart, their screams echoing in broken comms. The void filled with fire until it looked like a sun had been born. The alien commander gripped his chair, claws cutting metal, his voice a whisper lost in the roar. How could one human ship lead such ruin? How could we fall so easily? His officers silent, their eyes empty, their hope gone. And in that silence, a truth rose across the stars. Humanity had turned the tide, the trap, complete, the enemy broken, and the galaxy itself would never forget the moment, for it was the moment when fear shifted sides, when humanity no longer hid, when humanity no longer bowed, when humanity became the storm. The battlefield burned with broken ships, drifting like skeletons across the endless dark, their fires glowing like dying stars, the screams of the alien fleet fading into silence, carried only through broken signals that echoed for no one. The humans moved through the wreckage, silent calm, relentless, every vessel in perfect formation, their discipline sharper than blades, their movements like shadows, weaving through flames, each strike calculated, each step designed to carve fear deeper into alien hearts. The lone human ship still led the way, its hull scarred from countless hits, yet unbroken, its cannons flashing with precision, its drones swarming in circles of fire. To the aliens, it no longer looked like a simple vessel. It looked like the heart of a beast, the core of a storm impossible to kill. Alien ships tried one last desperate push, their engines roaring, their weapons firing in wild arcs. They poured everything they had into the darkness, their commanders screaming for vengeance, for survival, for pride, but the shots scattered across the void, missing their targets, their panic too heavy, their hands too weak. The humans answered with silence, no wasted words, no wasted fire, only clean, precise destruction. One beam after another cutting through enemy shields, one torpedo after another ripping through alien hulls. The void lit again and again until it looked like a chain of suns blooming across endless night. On the alien flagship, the commander stood tall, his eyes locked on the human ship, his voice low yet fierce. He whispered, "This is not the end, this is not the fall." But even as he spoke, he knew the lie, for his officers no longer believed, their hands heavy, their faces pale, their courage drained. He looked at his fleet and saw ruin. He looked at the humans and saw fire. And for the first time, he felt what his kind had always mocked: fear of humans, fear of the quiet creatures who hid behind fragile bodies, yet carried minds sharper than any blade. Across the comms came the last order from human command, a single word: strike, and the void trembled as the fleet obeyed. Beams of light brighter than stars lashed out from every human ship, converging on alien vessels, tearing them apart, shields shattering and sparks hulls crumbling under the storm, entire ships vanishing in explosions that spread like wings of flame. The aliens screamed, their voices lost to the void, their fleets broken beyond repair. The lone human ship pressed into the center, its guns cutting through enemy after enemy, until it stood face to face with the alien flagship, their two shadows locked across the dark, one massive with pride, the other smaller, yet burning with something stronger. The alien commander roared one final command to charge, and his ship surged forward, weapons blazing. But the humans had waited for this moment, their trap closing around the flagship. From every side, human ships emerged, their fire cutting off every path, beams hammering at shields, torpedoes striking with thunder, drones swarming like storms. The flagship shook, the void shook, and the commander knew he was already finished. He sat back in his chair, his claws curling, his eyes dim. He whispered to no one, "We thought it was only one. We thought they were weak. We thought wrong." And as his words faded, a final beam split his ship into the explosion, brighter than anything before it, a sun born and gone in a single breath. Silence followed, silence heavier than any sound. The alien fleet gone, their ruins drifting, their fires fading, the void quiet as the humans stood unbroken, their formation still perfect, their banners silent, but their presence louder than thunder. Across human comms, voices began to rise, quiet at first, then stronger, filled with pride, filled with awe, filled with relief. The war had turned the trap, had worked, humanity had shown its strength, and the galaxy itself would hear of it. The lone human ship drifted at the front, its hull cracked, its surface scarred, yet still it moved steady, unyielding, a symbol, now, not only to its fleet, but to all who would hear the tale. On alien worlds, faraway signals reached families, leaders, soldiers, news of the defeat, spreading like storm winds across skies. Their people stunned, their faith shaken, their pride shattered. They whispered in fear, they planned in panic, they argued in silence, for what they now knew was that humanity was no longer prey, humanity was no longer to be ignored. On human worlds, the story spread, too, not only as victory, but as proof that patience had worked, proof that strength had grown, proof that no matter how many enemies rose, the humans would rise higher, stronger, smarter. The galaxy shifted that day. The stars themselves seemed to lean closer, as if to watch for every corner of space. Now whispered the same words. They thought it was just one human ship. They were dead wrong, and those words became legend. In the ruins of the battlefield, human ships gathered, pulling survivors from wreckage, capturing broken alien vessels, studying their technology, salvaging their codes. Every detail taken, every secret sees humanity, wasting nothing for humanity. Knew this was not the end, this was only the beginning. Commanders on human ships spoke in quiet voices, saying the war is not over, saying more will come, saying this victory is but one step. Yet in their eyes burned fire, in their voices burned strength, for they knew that this battle had changed everything. The lone human ship turned at last, engines glowing faintly, leading the fleet home, its shadow long across the stars, its silence carrying the weight of 1,000 victories yet to come. And as the fleet vanished into the dark, their lights fading, one truth echoed through every broken hull, every ruined star, every silent world. Humanity had risen, humanity had spoken, and the galaxy would never forget the day humanity showed its true face, the day the hunters became the hunted, the day the final blow was struck.